Hi everybody, Greg Hoffman here, co-owner of Urban Pump Personal Training Studio. Late June, pretty cool night surprisingly. We just got back from vacation to Washington. Cold weather most of the time up there. We come back, guess what, cold weather here. Imagine that. Anyway, I want to talk a little bit about lower back pain. And the reason why I want to bring this up is, first of all, lower back pain is very, very common. And I think a lot of people really freak out when they start having lower back pain, thinking they may need surgery, some of these more radical therapies to solve the problem. That's not necessarily the case. And the reason why I'm bringing it up today is because I do have some lower back pain because of something that happened to me recently. But I want to go back about 15, 20 years, maybe a little longer, about the first real bad back pain that I had. I actually had a full-on herniated disc when I was 38, 39 years old. Really bad. I had pain radiating down the leg, that kind of thing. I tried some basic rehab techniques on my own to try to get it to be better, but it didn't happen. So I went to see a physical therapist about it, and lucky me, the dude was sharp as a whip when it came to understanding the body, and I'm glad I went to see him. He put me through a battery of tests, manual tests, to determine what may be causing the back pain, and he came to the conclusion that I had a herniated disc. And that really freaked me out when he told me that, because I thought surgery, that's where my mind went. You have a herniated disc, you got to get a surgery, and that's expensive, and you're never quite the same after that, so I was told. And I just kind of really panicked, but he told me to, first of all, settle down. You can actually heal it with some conservative therapies. You could do some PT and solve this situation. So I did the rehab that he recommended, and sure enough, it worked. My back was 100%. It took a while. Let me just state this. It took a long, long time. About a year, maybe a little bit longer, for it to fully heal and to take the pressure off that sciatic nerve with the PT protocols that he recommended. But it worked very well. I was able to do barbell squats again for the first time in years. It worked that well. So anyway, one of the things that I learned from that is that when you do have disc herniation, when you do have pressure on that sciatic nerve, traction is a very good protocol, very cool, good tool to use. So that's kind of my default position when my back starts bothering me. I just start doing massive traction, and over the course of time it does get much better and I don't have much of a problem. Well, this time it was very different. About a month ago, I really jacked up my back pretty bad because I did a very hard workout that day. I did heavy squat rows, heavier than I usually do. And then later on that day, I went and worked on the motorcycle. I was trying to change the back tire. I wasn't successful at all that night pulling that tire off. It actually took me a couple of weeks to figure it out, but that night I was really cranking on trying to get that tire off, and it jacked up my back. I didn't think much of it. I just figured a lot of traction, things would get better over time. Well, it didn't. As a matter of fact, doing a lot of traction made the situation worse instead of better. It just gave me no real relief. So I started doing a lot of icing, and that did seem to help, but I kept aggravating it. There was one day, as a matter of fact, before we went on vacation, to give you a little history on that, I did a very light workout because I thought my back was feeling good. I could do a light workout. That night when I went to bed, I turned over and I had a real sharp pain in my lower back, unlike anything I've ever felt before. It made me wonder, did I have a muscle tear versus a sprain or a strain? It made me wonder, is it even possible to tear a muscle? So anyway, we went on the road trip that next day, and I was really very concerned about being uncomfortable that whole ride. Turned out I was okay on that. By sitting and just being in certain positions, it didn't bother me so much. But I did a lot of icing, and while I was out there, I was doing some research on, can you tear a muscle, and what muscle may it have been that I tore. And I found out that yes, you can actually tear a muscle. It's basically a sprain or a strain that's just taken to the nth degree. Just by way overdoing it, you actually can tear a muscle. Also turns out that it can heal 100%, but you got to give it time. You've really got to do some rehab protocols. And here's what I found worked very well. One is just find the positions that I'm able to sit in pain-free. I was offered drugs, legal drugs, to help with the lowering my pain when I was out there, but I opted not to do it. And the reason why I chose that is not because I'm a masochist and I like pain. It's just my basic belief is that if I'm having pain, it's my body telling me something, I just need to pay attention to it, and that if I mask the pain, I may overdo something because I may feel like I'm feeling better than I actually am. So I always stay away from that if I can. Sometimes it's unbearable and I have to do it, but most of the times not, and that was one of the situations. But I did find that when my back was really bothering me, if I put some ice on it, I got instant relief. And the pain went down to a tolerable level, and I